everyone, I'm back. I was debating on releasing this video because I got a new camera set up and I've been having problems with lighting and shutter speed and all that kind of stuff. So some of the footage here probably isn't going to be the best. You're going to see some video banding and that kind of thing, but oh well, whatever. I'm still learning, so I figured I'd go ahead and just release it. I might reshoot it down the road and do a different version, but I figured, why the hell not? It's a video about soup. What do I care? I'm also trying to figure out like what my actual format is going to be for food videos like this. Right now it feels like a bad copy of Babish, so bear with me while I do some experimenting. A bunch of my videos are probably going to be all over the place. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to make some minestrone today. This video goes out to my buddy Barney because he is a minestrone fiend. This one's for you, pal. We're going to need to get some ingredients such as... Oh, okay, there they are. All right. I probably forgot something. Anyway, minestrone. It's a soup. Looking at some history, it seems to date back to around the 2nd century BC when Rome conquered Italy. It was originally classified as a peasant soup because the ingredients were all leftover meals that could be combined together. This makes sense because I improvise with this one pretty frequently based off of what I have in my refrigerator. The main staples for a minestrone are onions, garlic, celery, tomatoes, carrots, and pasta. Obviously, you need something in the way of stock. Veggie or chicken would be the most common. I'm also going to toss in some kale and canned beans in mine. I'm also going to put some potato in there because carbs rule. I'm probably going to add a bunch of other stuff while I go because that's what I do. And you can experiment with additional ingredients. Green beans and cabbage instead of kale. Just, don't use peas. Peas are terrible. Okay, so we'll start with the onion. We'll go ahead and chop that sucker up and put it in a bowl. Now, you can set the ends and unused bits of all of these veggies aside after you're done chopping them up and use them in a homemade stock. I have a bag of various veggie ends and clippings in my freezer for that very reason. When I need to make a homemade stock, I'll just grab that bag, toss in a couple of handfuls into a pot, pour water over it, maybe add some salt and pepper, and just let it simmer for a while. It's not that complicated. Next up will be the carrots. Just like the onion, you're going to roughly chop all of those up and put them in a bowl. I tend to nip the ends off, cut them into thirds, go lengthwise, and then chop them into bite-sized chunks, sort of like this. Oops, looks like SAMMICHES wants a bite. Here you go, buddy. After the carrots, we'll do the celery. I split these suckers up lengthwise and just roughly chop them all up at once. Look at me go. Just toss those in the same bowl and then move on to the potatoes. You can peel these if you want. I'm super lazy and I tend to like the skin, so I just scrub them pretty well, remove any eyes or grody bits, and then just chunk them up with the skins on. Next up, we'll do the garlic. Just crush those little buddies, get rid of the skin, and mince them up. Easy. Okay, now we'll go to the stove. Get your pot on there, add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, pop the heat up to high, let the oil get hot, and dump all of your veggies in there. You'll want to saute everything for a few minutes. Just enough for those things to soften a bit. I add a few pretty big pinches of salt and several grinds of pepper at this stage. There's a lot of veg in here, and I really like salt. At this point, I'll add in about a teaspoon of dried basil and oregano, along with maybe, like an 1/8 of a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. After that, add in a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste or puree and stir it all up. I let it start to darken in color just a little bit, and then I'll add a tablespoon or 2 of balsamic vinegar. The combination of the tomato paste and the balsamic really amps up the richness of the soup, so I highly recommend using it. Stir it up a bit and dump in your stock. Once the stock's in, you'll want to add in a can or a cup of tomatoes. But you'll also want to make sure that when you show the tomatoes, that it's actually in frame so your viewers can see it. Ugh. Bring that all up to a rolling boil and then dial back the heat to low and cover it for about 10 minutes. Ooh, hot. Next up are the beans. I use cannellini? Cannelloni? Cannoli? No. You can also use butter beans, just make sure you drain them. You'll also definitely want to make sure that you don't show the can in frame either. That would make too much sense. Told you I was still figuring out this format. Next up is the pasta. I use fusilli. Rotini? What's the difference of those two? Whatever. Dump it in and cover it. Let it go for another 10 minutes or so. Then you'll want to add the kale if you're using it and give it a quick stir. This won't take too much time. Just make sure the kale is cooked through and isn't too crunchy. In the meantime, add a little more salt and pepper to taste. Then we'll dish some up in a bowl, add a little grated Parmesan cheese, some fresh parsley or basil, a drizzle of good olive oil, and a splash of balsamic. What to have with it? We tend to do a little charcuterie board with ours. Just a little salami, cheese, some grapes, olives, baguette, maybe a little olive oil and balsamic for dipping the baguette in. Just make sure you don't forget your first baguette in the oven while you're making the soup. Rookie move. Anyway, that's it. I'll leave the recipe in the description below. I hope you give this a shot. I like this soup. It's good. Okay, that's all I got.